Mr. Ortiz, Mr. Urbina,
Here.
Mr. Baymonte,
Here.
Mr. Nichol.
All right, now we'll have the salute to the flag, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I would like to have a motion to open the public portion of the meeting. Is that what I want to do here? No, public notice of the meeting. Oh, God. Is there a little piece of paper? Oh, he just, no. All right, I'll make it up. This meeting is being held in accordance of the Municipal Land Use Law. Oh, the Public Meetings Act. Thank you. We have exits in the back of the room in case of a fire. Please move in an orderly fashion out of the building.
Notice of this meeting has been provided.
Has notice of this meeting? Notice of this meeting has been provided in the newspaper? Yes. Okay.
Newspaper of record for Roselle Park, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Newspaper of record for Roselle Park. Okay. All right, so now we would like to do the approval of the minutes from last week's meeting, April 14th. Gentlemen, have you had a chance to look over the minutes? Can I have a motion?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Okay, now we open up the public portion. This portion is not in regards to the applicant tonight. It is in regards to anything else that the public would like to speak about. We welcome you to come up to the microphone and talk to us. May I have a motion to open the public portion?
Make a motion to open the public portion.
Is there a second?
Second.
May I have all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Public portion is open. Please come forward.
Jacob McGarrett, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. I'm taping the meeting tonight. Speak into your microphones. Can't hear the attorney.
Can you hear me now? Better?
Thank you.
Yeah, microphone.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? May I have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
A second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public portion is closed. And now we have unfinished business. So now it's from February 24th. We are continuing the applicant, Easy Fitness with Jeannie. All right, now, let's see here. I have those. To review, while they are getting ready, the board was to consider two issues in February. Number one, interpretation of our borough statute. That we did. The board voted that the fitness center was not an accepted use on the site, which meant that the next issue was a request for a use variance as well as a parking variance, for which the applicant gave a presentation, including testimony, and the public commented and gave testimony as well. The use variance was not voted upon. The meeting was adjourned for 30 days at the applicant's request for her to address the parking issue. Okay, so very important. I am now aware that the board set a limit to the time that we're able to have the length of these meetings. The cutoff time is around 10 o'clock p.m. It's 10 o'clock p.m. Okay. I will be exercising my responsibility as chairman to move the meeting along. Please do not be offended if I step in and cut you off or impose time limits on speaking. We will finish this tonight. We do not intend to rehash what was done last month. We are here to discuss the parking issue and to decide whether to approve or deny the applicant's request for a use variance with a parking variance. So, this evening we will take up where we left off. First, the applicant will address the parking issue, After that, we will hear comments from the public. The board members will also have the opportunity to ask the applicant questions. Second, the applicant will have the opportunity to offer a closing statement. Third, the board will have a discussion among themselves, and then the chairman will accept a motion from the board to either accept or deny the applicant's request, and then we will vote. And that is the order of business for this. And so with that said, I will, Mr. Yates, how are you? I will put it in your hands.
I'm fine, thank you, Madam Chairman, and I will do everything in my power to ensure that we get out of here by 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So I'm with you on that. I'd first like to ask some questions about the efforts you made to secure off-site parking since the last meeting. Please tell the board what you've done.
So after the hearing back in February, I looked at what options I had with securing some off-site parking. And I went to local businesses and requested if they could lend me or rent me some space. And some of those were the Church of Assumption, went to them. Well Done is also another business in town that's up the street, who also has quite a bit of parking and operates their business during the day, whereas my business is primarily in the evening. I also went to a vacant building on Westfield Avenue right up the street and spoke with the landlord of the building that's next door to the Children's Specialized Hospital. It's a vacant space, and asked if he would rent to me some of his parking spaces. I also went to a limousine company that's right up on Westfield Avenue that next door has a vacant lot, and asked if I could rent some spaces from him. And unfortunately, everyone was unable to commit to lending me or renting me any space. That's pretty much it.
Now, so there are no available spaces off-site or off-street to the best of your knowledge?
No.
Now, when we were last here, we were here in February, and of course, this was one of the worst winters on record, correct?
Right.
And there was testimony about some of the parking problems that were taking place within the neighborhood, correct?
Right.
Since February, are you aware of any parking problems?
No. Right. So since the snow has melted, I am not aware of any parking issues. I have not had police officers knocking at my door requesting that someone move their car. To my knowledge, that's not occurred at all since the snow has cleared up.
You've been paying particular attention to the parking in the neighborhood since we were in our last meeting?
Absolutely. So lots of pictures were presented at the last hearing that showed vehicles in violation of parking laws. So those were vehicles that were parked on the yellow curb. They were blocking fire hydrants. They were parked too close to the stop sign. So I made a conscious effort to look out for these sorts of things and was able to take photographs of those violations. And those violations were not made by my customers. They were actually during hours that I was not operating, and I know for sure that they were not customers of mine.
Madam Chair, with your permission, I'd like to hand out some photographs.
Yes, thank you. Please do.
And I'd like to also include that you'll see in the pictures that these parking violations were made and there was ample parking on the street. So why they were parked this way, I don't know.
2 additional copies if anybody in the public wants to follow along.
Yeah, I think we will, we'll mark this A dash. Actually, where, does anyone know where the last exhibit is? Last marked exhibit, Mr. Yates or anyone?
I do not have it in my notes. Madam Chair?
Did you mark exhibits? You did, right, or no? Maybe you didn't. I know the objectors had some, but I'm not seeing any from you, which is possible.
I don't know if I lost this particular document, which was our handout.
Yeah, I don't believe that was marked, so,
Well, I'd certainly like that copy of that program.
yeah. Well, let's mark that A1. Can you just identify that?
A1 would be a presentation handout dated February 24th, 2014.
Okay, A2 is going to be this 6-page packet that the applicant just handed out to all board members and myself today. 5 of the pages consist of various photographs which the applicant can explain as they like or not, but just so we now have this on the record so you can proceed.
Referring to the document which is now being marked A2, could you just explain to the board what these photographs are and if they depict?
So the very first photograph is a delivery truck. I don't have delivery of water at my business, but I guess someone was getting a delivery, and this car was parked here.
Now, there's a date on the photograph. Is that the date the photograph was taken?
Yeah, this photograph was taken on the 27th of February.
And there's a number on there as well. Can you record what's that number represent?
Number 0316 just is the photograph number in my camera.
The next picture.
So the next picture is a van that was parked on the yellow curb. Again, not one of my customers, and was parked incorrectly or illegally.
Now, this photograph was taken from what vantage point?
This was taken from the event, from within my business. So I was standing in front of my business, the front door.
And this is across the parking lot to the Diorio property?
That's correct.
And Diorio has a parking lot on the premises, correct?
Yes, they do.
And there's no other vehicle depicted in this photograph in the Diorio parking lot.
No, there are no cars in their parking lot.
In fact,
You know what? There actually looks like there might actually be one towards the back.
but there are certainly vacant spots in the Diorio parking lot.
Yes.
Next photograph.
The next photograph is just a small SUV parked again on the yellow curb on Roosevelt, and I took the picture from within the area of my business.
Now, there's actually 2 vehicles depicted there, correct?
Yes, I'm referring to the one that's closest to the intersection.
Okay. And just beyond the vehicle that's furthest from the intersection, there's a vacant parking spot, correct?
Yes,
And that would have been a legal parking spot.
That's correct.
And you don't know who that is.
I don't know who this vehicle belongs to.
Next photograph.
The next photograph is actually someone who's utilizing my lot that is not a customer of mine. So I've had to call the police a couple times within the last couple of weeks for people who were parking in my lot that were not my customers, that were going to other businesses in the area. Now, I called because they were blocking the walkway, and we were unable to identify who this vehicle belonged to, and I think one or two were issued a summons, were issued a ticket.
Now, if you were granted the variance, would you put up a sign indicating that the vehicle is owned and parked from the real business on the premises?
Yes, I would put up a sign. It would make sense.
And the next photograph.
So the next photograph is my neighbor who holds parties in the back of her building. It can accommodate, I don't know, maybe 60, 70 customers. And her lot she received a variance for 7 parking spaces. And I noticed on quite a few occasions that there were far more than 7 vehicles in her lot.
Now, this, it appears that there appears to be vacant spaces and no parking in the lot, a portion of the parking lot. Is that correct?
Yes, there are vacant spaces on my side, and ideally, I think for both myself and my neighbor, if we shared the parking lot, drew out spaces within both our parking areas, because our businesses don't operate around the same time, that would be the ideal situation. I've asked the neighbor if we had the option of doing this, and it was not entertained.
You happen to know why
It was not entertained because there is some dislike between the neighbor and my landlord. So because of that friction between the two landlords, there was nothing I could do to make anything work with them.
So, and have you cast a view on the neighborhood in general in terms of the available parking space on the street?
I have.
And since the snows have melted away, what is your impression on the neighborhood?
My impression is that there is space. There is space to park. I get my customers to park within my lot, and typically our classes are small, so there isn't usually an issue. If a class does get on the higher side, then those customers do park on the street. But even with them parking on the street, there is still parking available even though they're on the street. And I also wanted to state that I have expressed to my customers, members, clients, through Facebook, through emails, and through face-to-face, how important it is that they follow the parking laws of the state, I guess, the town, and they do so.
And just by way of conclusion of the remarks of parking, as I look at the ordinance and the permitted uses in the zone, given the size of the building, virtually any use, whether it's permitted or not really variance, would require a parking variance. So the problem becomes if there's no available off-site provisions, is this property rezoned into utility?
It's going to be zoned into what?
Into utility.
Oh,
That's my closing remarks on the parking.
okay. Okay, all right, so,
Oh, and just by way of comment, I agree with the consultant. The consultant's reported indicated that 16 spaces were required under the ordinance, 8 can be provided on-site. It's the 8 off-site that was seeking the variance for.
Okay. Okay. Does the board have any questions for the applicant in regards specifically to the parking issue?
How much of your business would be done from, say, 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening versus 7 o'clock in the evening to 10 o'clock in the evening?
25%.
So 25% is daylight, is daytime.
Yeah. Yeah, most of it is after 7. My clients are, they work, yeah. Yeah,
We can tell.
okay.
What are the hours of operation again?
Oh, I'm sorry. So we have, it's from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then we open up again at 5 p.m. till 9 p.m. But it's not consistent though. So for example, on Monday we have a class at 6 a.m. for 45 minutes, and then we don't open again until 5 o'clock p.m. and then the classes start at 5:30. We end at 9. So last class is at 8. We end at 9. Now on Tuesday, we don't have a class at 6 o'clock in the morning. The class is at 9:30 in the morning, and we end by 10:30. So then we don't open up again until 5 o'clock in the evening, and we do that over again. So consistent 8 to 11 is on the weekends. So Saturday we have an 8 o'clock class, and then 8 a.m. class, and then we're done by 11. 8, 9, and 10 are the classes.
But it's possible that, you know, a Monday might be more if you had a class in the morning. Like there might be a 9 o'clock class or a 6, 7 o'clock, whatever, you know. It's possible.
I can put a class at 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning. Absolutely, I could.
Last February, we asked you to provide a parking scheme. Do you have that tonight?
We have the from Harbor Consultants, just stating what was required and the amount of space that he was able to find available. And that was it.
See, we asked for an engineer or to come or some report to show us how your parking spaces line up that you have on your property.
Madam Chair, I apologize. I thought if we were challenging the 8 parking spaces and looking for more, that we were referring to section. I did not interpret the remarks that way.
But you are looking for more.
Well, we're looking for a variance. We're looking for, when we accept the 8 on-site spots, that's not.
Oh, I see.
And it's, what we're looking for is a variance for the remaining spaces.
Okay, so you are saying that what our planner said as estimating 8 spaces is what you agreed to accept those 8 spaces? Okay.
That's the on-site. It's the off-site that we're required,
Okay.
because it's just no other, there is no way of squeezing any of the spots onto that site. And there are no other off-site spots available.
Okay. Okay. All right. Then I will entertain a motion to open the public portion for this.
So moved.
Oh, wait, did we do Victor first?
Do you have any testimony, Victor? No.
So I had a first from Mr. Niji, a second from Mr. Costello. All those in favor? We will open the public portion. Anyone wishing to speak may come forward. And where are we going to put them? Yeah, I guess I would have to ask that you share that microphone, please. or sitting?
Either way is fine.
Okay, we'll try the standing and see how that works. If it's uncomfortable, we'll find it, we'll sit.
Okay.
Just state your name, your address, and, oh, we have a regular stenographer tonight, so I'm not going to be as picky.
Jackie Hurdle, 305 West Clay. And I believe you're lying because you said since the last meeting that we were here, you have not heard of any problems with parking. The very next night, I had to call the police because you had someone parked at the fire hydrant. I don't know why they thought that was a parking space. There were 4 other cars parked illegally. The cop had to go in and ask some of them to move.
Okay, excuse me, it's to us.
Okay.
It's
Well,
not
go
to be accusatory to them,
Okay.
it is to give us facts or information, but not that way. Okay.
So the officer had to go in and ask some of them to move while he gave tickets to others because you should not be parked in front of the fire hydrant. That has happened so many times since our last meeting. They don't even ask for my phone number anymore when I call. And then she stated that she has keys in a basket and when the cars need to be moved, she moves them. There was someone else that came out to move it and the lady was very ticked off because she was so mad she had to move the car. Then where she went to move it, I said, that's still an illegal spot. So she took off down the street, racing down the street to find another one. Going pretty fast, but it's happening all the time, so I don't know why they think there's still no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
There was,
But we're in public portion now, so please hold it until you very well can comment on all this, but please wait. Oh, they can, oh, you can question, okay, I'm so sorry. Do you want her to come back?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, please come. Ugh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's why we have an attorney by my side.
Was it about the snow blocking?
yeah, you say this happened the night after the
Yes,
meeting?
the very next night. And the officer got out and he saw that the yellow was showing, and it's obvious where the fire hydrant is. So that's when he went inside and said things and gave some tickets to others.
And you're saying that's happened on multiple occasions?
Oh,
since
yes,
the
I
last
called
meeting?
plenty of times.
And how many times have you called the police department
Probably 5 times at least.
since the last meeting?
Yeah, and that's just because I don't feel like calling every night. I don't feel like having them getting mad at me so often.
And is it always the customers of Fitness by
Yes,
TV?
I watch them go in. And it looks like they have men working out there now also.
And it never happens with respect to any other business in the area?
One time I called late on a Saturday night. It was at the dance hall.
Any other problems with parking from any other businesses? And when these calls are made, is it because there's no other available parking spaces in the neighborhood?
Okay, go ahead.
Because I've seen examples in the neighborhood where people are just rude, they park where they think it's most convenient as opposed to going a little bit further and parking in an available smart parking spot. On these occasions, is that what's taking place? People are just being rude and just trying to park in the most convenient place
Are you
possible?
talking about the residents?
No, I'm talking about these people who are doing it illegally.
Okay, well, they're in the gym, so I don't know why they're doing it.
Because there's otherwise available parking spaces on the
Yes,
street.
there is, because they've had to come out and move, because sometimes the cop will give them the option to move instead of getting a ticket.
Okay, well, thank you very
And the
much.
only reason I do call also is because it's hard to make a turn off of Roosevelt when they're parked all the way to the corner.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next.
Sir, I was remiss in not swearing the last person. You will need to be sworn because obviously some of the things you will say are factual, so you need to be sworn like any other witness. If you could state your name, please, sir.
We'll just pick it up. Oh, wait, you know what, it would be much easier if he was able to sit, if they were able to sit down. So is there a way that we could make that happen?
Can you just let everyone else know?
Oh, thank you. There we go.
Can we use the stand over here? The microphone
We
stand?
could do that.
Well, right now it's.
Okay, we're good now.
State your name, please, sir.
Chris Tucci.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth tonight?
I do.
Thank you.
Address, please.
Chris Tucci, CRISTUCCI, 324 Locust Street. First of all, I'd like to also state that since the last meeting, I too have called the police department for illegally parked cars. One day the officer came, he had to go inside the gym and have 3 people come out and move cars that were blocking the crosswalk. Another occasion, I saw a police car and I waved him down. Cars were parked in the corner. He went inside and had him come out and move the car. So her statement that there's been no problem is an absolute lie. Also, she's talking about February parking. There was no snow last summer that I can remember. And that neighborhood was totally screwed up with the parking. It's there every night. And I'm not just speaking as a general person. Some of you know, some of you might not know. I'm a retired police captain from Roselle Park Police, and I know parking problems, believe me. That gym is killing the neighborhood, no doubt about it. She can sit here and say this and that. It's killing the neighborhood. And I just don't understand how this has gone on for so long. I'd also like to make one quick comment. We were supposed to be back here 30 days ago. They screwed up on the dates. She gets rewarded to stay open 30 more days to kill that neighborhood. It's a shame. Yesterday being Easter, she was closed. It was beautiful, beautiful. I'm there 7 days a week, and I can tell you for a fact, it was beautiful. No loud music. I'm 100 feet away in the building, and I can hear the music in the girls' room. They're out there jumping rope. I mean, it's just crazy. And I just hope you do the right thing tonight, because she's been getting away with this for 16 months. 16 months. And as you saw, as we heard at the last meeting, she was notified with letters, courts, summonses to come before this board. She just ignored it, totally ignored you, continued operating. Why? I don't know. But it's just a shame what's going on down there. And I just hope tonight you will do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Please come forward. Hi. Do you want to be sworn in?
Yes, could you raise your right hand, sir? State your name and address, please.
Aurelia Conception, 261 Salem Road, Union, New Jersey.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
In regards to the last comments that we made, I feel like those are false because I went there, like 3 days out of the week. I've had maybe one police officer, and I've made a couple phone calls to the police because people are parked in our lot illegally. I try to do the right thing by making them move their car from the line, and it doesn't make any sense. She's trying to do something right here by making everyone work out. You're supposed to, be ready for everything, and young people working out. You're supposed to help the community. She's trying to help the community. I don't think she's trying to ruin it. I don't think she's killing the community. If anything, she's trying to make it better, and to hear people say that, it's just really upsetting. I'm a young person, I want to get out there. I want to work out. I can't work out in her building. It doesn't make sense. That's it. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Would you raise your right hand, state your name and address, please?
Amber Reyes, 126 Roosevelt Street. I live within 200 feet of the premises.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth tonight?
I do.
Thank you.
I was curious of what the exact easements are for the property regarding the right-of-way vacation and the easement for the parking.
That's a good question.
Madam Chair, perhaps I can answer that. There is a pedestrian walkway through the parking area. That has sometimes been a source of some problems. Keeping that free of vehicles has been one of the goals of our legislation. But I do know that there is an easement. No beyond that way information for this residents looking for.
Because according to code, section 718, angle parking on Roosevelt Street, 90-degree angle is only allowed on the deli side of the property and not the fitness side. So I'm questioning how the validity of the 8 cars parked would fit with that. And it's hard to determine because we don't have a delineated parking plan.
So are you saying that even though 8 cars are allowed, the way that they're parked is an issue?
Correct.
Well, then it also stands to be an issue on the property on the left. Is that correct?
It's,
Because that doesn't look like it's angled from the March 29th photo.
But we're not here on that.
but we're not here.
I understand, but I'm just
It-
trying to...
So what is it, where did
It
you get,
says,
where did you get the information?
this was from the code book online for Roselle Park.
Okay.
It says, beginning at a point in the westerly sideline of Roosevelt Street, distant 25 feet northerly from its intersection with the northerly sideline of West Clegg, to a point northerly along the westerly side of Roosevelt Street to the southerly side of the railroad.
So it's silent on the other side. It's just,
Correct.
it says that the one side can park at the angle, but it does not say the other side cannot park that way. It just simply doesn't say, correct?
It says the above described premises shall be marked with signs indicating that angle parking only will be permitted. I believe the way this is stating that it's only these 2 properties that are allowed to park with angle.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
there has been litigation between the town and the property owners, and that's been resolved to the best of my knowledge, that litigation. I don't know how that may or may not impact the ordinance, but there was litigation that is in the process of being resolved. But that's between the property owner, not my client,
Client.
and the town, and anybody else who's involved in that litigation.
Well, the way the application presents, the only reason I came up with the site visit, there wasn't a lot submitted in the application, so I don't have anything to make a determination from. It appears that there was a right-of-way there, or street. That right-of-way was vacated. When the municipality vacated the right-of-way, gave half to the deli, half to this property. They kept rights for passage for pedestrians to utilize the tunnel. So, but I never saw an ordinance where they did not permit parking. So no matter what, the owners of this parcel have to drive over the pedestrian area to park. Now, I haven't seen anything submitted, and now that's kind of new to me, about this resolution. This predates my occupation with the municipality. And, obviously the cars to utilize that parking space have always had to cross this pedestrian area. And that becomes an issue, but I'm not sure, because there's no evidence presented to this board or myself that that permission was ever denied or given. All I know is by going out, I could see 8 parking spaces that have been there for quite some time. I've known they've been there, that I did the original survey work for the area of Gallery. And I witnessed those spaces back then before the fitness facility. So I guess the town's always known, as we all know, that those spaces have been there. They haven't been used all that much because the previous tenant had a very low parking limit, as our letter states.
But 8 conforming spots can fit on the site,
Conforming is another question, they're a little tight, but.
but none of them, okay.
But they have to cross this pedestrian path, which is kind of a little bit bizarre, but it's been going on in town for quite some time.
When they're parked, they're not going to be blocking them.
They won't block it,
Okay.
correct?
But they won't be angled.
Well, they're kind of perpendicular to the roadway. Normally you don't
Just
permit-
the 90-degree.
Yeah.
We would have
What
to parallel
section-
park.
What section are you referring to?
Can you show this to our planner, please? Yes.
So I had to look with you. This isn't my section.
Okay, so while he's reading that, I'm going to make sure that I understand what 90 degrees is. I know 360.
From what I
I know
understand
what
of it,
80.
that there would be allowed parallel parking against, that runs parallel to the easement of the walkway. That it's not allowed to be at a 90-degree angle to that walkway.
Oh,
Okay. Mr. Yates, that's how she parks.
There are different parkings that are currently being used. There are approximately, I believe, 2 cars that are parked 90 degrees, 1 car that is parked parallel to the building, and then there are cars parked on the other side of the easement, parallel to the easement.
and if I can just ask a question, and in that configuration, the cars are not blocking the easement, correct? In that configuration?
Well, this afternoon when I was leaving to come here, there were 3 cars blocking the easement.
What time did you leave?
6:45.
They're blocking the whole
The
easement?
problem with this,
They were going over the easement, similar to what was shown in her photographs, but
the problem with this section of the ordinance.
Okay, wait a minute, just a second, please.
The
Yes?
problem with this section of the ordinance is it appears that Roosevelt Street does not exist anymore. Once the municipality vacated Roosevelt Street, it does not exist in this area. So now it becomes private property, which you can park any which way you want. So Roosevelt Street as a municipal street no longer exists because it was vacated according to a survey the applicant submitted. So now that's why this ordinance would come into.
So this ordinance is old and needs to be,
Well, at one time permitted, right, at one time Roosevelt Street was a street. You were allowed to park on one side of Roosevelt, the side of the Orioles Deli. You were allowed to park angled. But it appears that the municipality vacated that according to a survey. There was a recent package, a survey done by Fletcher Engineering, area of right-of-way vacated for Roosevelt Street. They gave the ordinance number. It was adopted April 11th, 1983. So if that was vacated, then Roosevelt Street no longer exists there.
So the ordinance becomes moot.
So, right.
Immaterial.
good research.
No, very excellent. No, you did an excellent. Now, I'm not sure if Roosevelt Street was vacated on the other side. I think it was, on the Oriole side.
Okay, so that's,
so it is invalid.
yes.
So it should be removed from the borough code.
Yes.
Will that be done?
Well, may we have
We're
that
the wrong
copy
authorities.
put into, could we have it for our secretary?
Yes.
So that-
We'll see if the next business is still permitted. With the angle parking spaces in the borough code, they have different angles and different dimensions that are required for the drive aisles. I'm really concerned about this because the way traffic is in the parking lot, it's a one-way direction into the parking lot. If there is no available spots, the drivers are now backing up into the middle of an intersection.
You mean the walkway?
No, the intersection. The intersection of West Clay and Roosevelt Street,
Oh,
because there's nowhere for them to turn when all the spots are filled.
okay.
Um,
I'm picturing it.
I've seen so many cars back up, cause problems. They back up and they go to, I believe it's the southerly, the Genie's side rather than the deli side. They back up and then they make a U-turn within the deli parking lot to come down Roosevelt Street. It's really a hazard, and I'm really concerned about people's safety for drivers, and I've been concerned about the people that are on the easement. From the people coming out of the tunnel, there's nowhere for them to go safely if there's a car that's coming in. They have to cross into the parked cars, and I'm just worried that someone's going to get hurt. I no longer use that tunnel. I would not let my child go on that easement. It's a safety problem, and I hope it's addressed. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Did you have anything? Okay, thank you. Is anyone else wishing to speak?
Could you raise your right hand, ma'am? State your name, please. Name and address.
Anna Ortiz, 122 Roosevelt Street.
And you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth tonight?
Yes.
You can proceed.
Just wanted to say that it's short. This is not about, the issue is not about the great business owner. The issue is that this business doesn't have enough parking. It's been disruptive and unsafe to our neighborhood. And we're really concerned about the safety, just like Amber said. So this is not about how great she is, what a great thing she's doing. This is about the fact that that business doesn't belong in that location. So we're hoping that you vote the right way and think about the residents of Roselle Park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
When you say it's not the right type of business for the neighborhood, did I say that accurately?
Well, let's clarify it. That business doesn't belong in that location because there's a parking issue. There's not enough parking.
Okay, but it's not the actual business itself that's the problem. It's the
I
parking.
didn't say anything against the business. That's what I said. It's not about whether or not Jeannie's is a great business owner. That's not what we're talking about here. The whole issue, and let's keep the issue on the table, it's all about the parking.
And that's fine, I just wanted to clarify that that is your negative.
No, I didn't say anything negative about Jeannie's business.
Now, coming back to the parking, how far away from the property, from the business?
I can see the business from my house.
And is it, and you believe that there are people, all sorts of infractions in terms of parking?
I'm aware of 3, and I can't say it's because of this issue, but we have, since the last meeting, 3 cars on our block have been hit at night. And I can't say how, maybe it's because somebody pulling into it, but I know my neighbor Amber, Sam Appello, and then the guy that lives in the White House, I don't know his name, their cars have been dented
Okay, they're parked
at night. They're parked on the street on Roosevelt
on
Street.
Roosevelt Street. How
Yeah.
far away from the intersection of Clay Avenue?
Well, they're on our side. I can't give you distances. I'm giving you a general, what I've heard and what I've seen.
And is there specific knowledge that this was caused by?
No, I said that already. I said that as an aside. Since the last meeting, I know that 3 people's cars have been damaged. And really what I'm pointing out too, that it's unsafe. We've had a lot of problems.
Can you give us some examples of?
All the examples that my neighbors have given, I second that.
But how about what you observed?
Well, I have a problem getting parking when I come home from work. And I do have an issue with that tunnel because I do take care of my grandson twice a week. And I'm not walking through that tunnel either. I'd like to walk through the tunnel to take him to the park, but there's an unsafe issue going on with the parking.
Now, in terms of not being able to find parking in front of your house, has that been true also when there's no snow on the ground?
You know, snow here, snow, I know you keep on bringing that up. We've had problems. I'm not gonna tell you that it was exactly from February to whatever month. I know you keep on bringing up the snow issue. We have problems parking there.
And were there problems before Jeannie moved into the business?
I can't say myself, other than that, I can't say specifically a date, but since that business has been in that corner, yeah, we've had problems because there's not enough parking on our block for her.
But there were no problems before Jeannie's business came into the neighborhood?
I'm not gonna tell you there were no problems. You know, I'm not home all day. I know that when I get home, there's no parking. I know since that business has been there, it's causing a lot of problems for us with the parking.
Okay, and again, I want to know just your personal knowledge, not what's talked about in the
You can ask me about my personal knowledge, and I've just given it to you. When I get home, there's no parking. I feel it's unsafe in that tunnel, and that's as far as cross-examination as you can get with me. Okay?
Well, I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to get testimonies.
I can't give you any more testimony than what I can give you personally. I can't give you any facts on exact dates on what happened before Miss Jeannie took, you know, leased her gym for that space.
How long did you leave?
26 years.
And your testimony is that the problems regarding your coming home from work at night have only existed since Jeannie's been in.
What I
can say is prior to Jeannie being in there, there was a children's specialized business in there. I didn't even know they were there because we had no parking issues.
That's what I want. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Looks like we have a recall.
I did forget mine.
You're still under oath.
Thank you. One of the issues that I had also with asking for a variance on
Do you
parking.
want to just say your name again, though? Just so.
Amber Reyes, R-E-Y-E-S, is that the parking lot is also being used as an outdoor gym, according to her advertising on Facebook. I don't know if code allows for an outside gym without screening. There was a tree that was there when the specialized
I think it was adult services.
adult services was there. There was a tree. It has been taken down in the past 2 years, I believe.
And the tree wasn't put back up?
Not that I'm aware of. That tree did provide some kind of screening to that parking lot, which is now no longer there.
They were laughing because I'm a tree fanatic.
May I see that next?
I really go to time.
Any tree that goes down, I have, my heart goes out to the tree. Okay, hold on just a second.
Going to mark this exhibit that was offered by Ms. Reyes. Did I pronounce that correctly? Reyes, sorry. O-24, what you've explained what it is, basically some images from her Facebook page?
Correct.
Okay. And,
Yep.
yep.
And then those were screenshots. It was actually a video, and it had the garage door open, which is one of the images, with loud music playing.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any other people wishing to speak? Yes?
Am I allowed to speak? I resigned from the board about 5 weeks ago.
Yes, you can speak. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Ralph Ortiz. I reside at 122 Roosevelt Street. Do you recall posting on your webpage the parking diagram?
Yeah.
Sir, this is just a public comment.
Yeah, I think.
Well, other people were allowed to ask her questions, why am I not? I'll speak to the attorney.
No, they were talking
You-
through me.
They were talking to the
Okay.
the board
Can
here.
you please ask her if she's ever posted a parking diagram on her webpage that she doesn't
And
have
that's,
tonight?
but the purpose here is for you to comment at this point.
Okay.
So,
I know for a fact that her webpage had the parking diagram on her website. Number two, I've been there 26 years, never had a parking problem. There are other businesses that run there, but they don't run prime time, which is basically 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. at night when everyone's coming home from work.
Could you describe the parking diagram?
Sure, I mean, it's just something she had on her website, you have to ask her.
No, but what does it mean, diagram?
She posted what she considered to be parking spaces. And I believe there were 8, 9, something like that.
And it showed how the cars would be parked? Oh.
So that's basically it. I haven't had any problems until she moved in. There are other businesses there. There's always interruptions from other businesses and what have you, but this one runs prime time, Monday through Saturday. She runs Monday through Friday from 5 till 10 or 5 to 9. And there's no parking for people to come home. I don't care what they say. I live there. I live within about 200, maybe 225, 230 yards. I just missed
the threshold for getting the notice. And that business should not be there. That's not coded for that for an obvious reason. That's a neighborhood. It's not a business district. There's plenty of other places where you can have a gym in town. That's just not the place for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you want to comment on that?
So the diagram that Ralph, Mr. Ortiz referenced was something I put up when I initially came to Roselle Park or to West Clay, and it outlined the easement and how we were not to block the easement. So with that, this is how I suggest you guys parking. It was never drawn out by an engineer. It was sort of me with shapes on a PowerPoint slide, I guess. But the purpose of it was to map out to my customers, here's an easement, here's the tunnel, here's the building, do not park here. And then this is where you can park. Yeah.
How many spaces did you have on the diagram?
I put that up a long time ago. I can go on my phone and see if maybe I can pull it up, but this has been quite some time. I can't say for sure. I can't really say for sure.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
Well, before we continue further, just an observation, Madam Chairman and Borough Attorney. Why are some people going under oath and some aren't?
They're all,
We had Mr. Ortiz was not, however, his wife was under oath. Ms. Earl was not under
yeah,
oath.
that's right. That was a mistake. They should all be under oath.
Okay, well, so they just want to
Yeah, I
maintain
appreciate you
that.
pointing that out, but you're right.
You put me under oath? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think we missed one
But I say
person.
if we're doing it for one
First
person, we
person
should.
Yeah.
and the last
That
person.
is correct, that everyone that testifies or comments should be put under oath, so
I
I
want to
think
be
we,
under oath.
I understand.
Okay.
Do you want to come up and we'll put you under oath and you can speak again? Let's do it that way.
This way there's
Let's-
no
Yep.
problem.
What, and Jeff, you'll come back
Okay,
to.
yeah, okay, come
Yes.
up.
So we're going to just swear these.
Okay, Mr. Ortiz, do you swear that the testimony you just recently gave is true?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And, I'm sorry, what was your last name? Ms. Hurdle, do you swear that the testimony you just recently gave about 20 minutes ago is true?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right, so at this point, then, since we have discussed the parking, would you like to summarize for us, and then we will deliberate as a board?
Madam Chairman, just by way of explanation, we're just going over the notes and what this is specified and whether or not.
Would you like a 5-minute break? Would that be? Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. We'll come back at 8:15.
I like this. Toast.
All right, we'll just, as soon as everyone is seated, we'll get started. All right, we will resume the meeting now. It's 8:16, I think. And sir, it's up to you.
Madam Chair, would just like to offer
Oh.
a brief amount of...
Make sure you speak into the mic.
Oh, Madam Chair, would just like to offer some brief rebuttal testimony.
Oh, absolutely.
And the first question I'm going to ask you about is there was a Facebook page showing some outside activity. Could you please address that issue?
So it was just a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. The weather was absolutely gorgeous. So we have a garage in our main floor. We opened up the garage and some of the members were outside on the driveway jumping rope. There was no equipment put outside other than the jump rope, so they were doing that. And if that was a nuisance or a disturbance, I won't open that garage door ever again.
And just for the benefit of the board, the garage, it's a garage door that opens. And where does that garage door face?
The garage door faces the train tracks, and the sound or the noise coming from the train tracks supersedes any noise that we could possibly make.
And there was a comment about your business being the business that generated the traffic in the neighborhood. Could you address that, please?
I find that I find it hard to believe, for two reasons. First, there's a dance studio next door that operates a good portion of the evening, and they have 3 parking spaces. And you can peek your head in and see that there are more than 3 individuals inside there. And however, they're able to operate as a dance studio with only 3 parking spaces. There is a catering hall next door that can accommodate 60 to 70 individuals. And there are only 7 parking spaces available. They can operate with just the 7 parking spaces. I don't know. I can't say. I have not taken a survey of people in and out of parking spaces and looking to see where exactly they are going and how they're parking or such. But I find it hard to believe that the issue of parking is solely on the shoulders of my business.
Thank you. That's the close of our testimony.
All right, now it is time for our board to discuss this amongst ourselves. Does anyone have anything they would like to address to us amongst ourselves? May I have a motion to close the public portion, please? Oh, may I have a second? Who's first? No, we don't.
Are you closing the public portion?
No. No, the rebuttal is the end of it, there's no sir rebuttal.
It was
Yeah.
my fault, I didn't close the public
Yeah.
portion when we went. I'm so sorry. May I have a motion to close the public?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I'm kind of doing things out of order. I'm so sorry. All right. This is the time for the board to give their thoughts about what we've heard over the last 2 times that we've met in regards to this application. We will be asking for a motion and a vote. If you are feeling in the affirmative for this, it's a good time to say that. If you are not, it's a good time to say that as well, so that we can discuss it amongst ourselves. Any takers?
Parking is an issue. I mean, we've listened to the residents. Parking remains an issue. It's unfortunate that it's a successful business, but you've got a neighborhood that's full.
I find this very, very difficult for both sides. I live on East Clay Avenue, and I made it a point to drive up and down Clay Avenue towards Locust at all different times of the day and night to see what the parking situation is. Again, I live on East Clay Avenue. I don't live on Roselle, West Clay Ave or Locust. Including 10 minutes before this meeting or 15 minutes before this meeting, I drove past her building to see what the parking situation was like. Her lot is full. At the time, there were no cars in the right of way, or at least the designated walkway. And driving up and down West Clay Avenue, I haven't personally, for the exception maybe once or twice, found it difficult to park. Not impossible, difficult. The rest of the time, there's a lot of spots. There's been a lot of spots open. But if I hear you guys, and I find it very difficult either way to make a decision right now. The music could be an issue. I understand that's a disruption. The jump roping outside, I agree with that being an issue to a certain extent. I mean, kids jump rope outside all the time. If there's an organized class outside, that's a totally different subject. I actually happened to drive by the property on this day. I have a photo on my phone from the street, not from this angle, from the street, where I did see all these cars in the parking lot. The street was also full. She was not operating. So I kind of feel like it may not just be her business that's causing this, but the 3 businesses that we circle around, which is the deli or the catering, the dance studio, and her business, combined may be causing the problem. But I don't know how we fault one person for the problem, with parking problems. I think it's interesting that she has a successful business. She's basically tripled in a year, your membership. So we'd be scared. I agree. It makes the parking problem more difficult. But this town is also pushing and struggling to get successful businesses in town. So it's very difficult to... Thank you. No, I know you. I don't know, I'm just finding it difficult to put the blame solely on her and her business at this point.
Anybody else?
Your original applications, you filed as a nutritional consulting service?
I filed under a facility that offers health services and nutrition counseling. and I applied as Easy Fitness with Jeannie, and we offer health services and nutrition counseling. And I used that umbrella because of the variety of services that we offer. So yes, group fitness classes is included in those services, but so is the nutrition counseling, our workshops, the chiropractic care, and the massage therapy. And we also do this herbal detox. And then we have also supplements where we sell retail shakes and vitamins and that sort of thing. So that health umbrella was where we felt that we were well suited, or where we felt best under.
All right. Anybody else? Because I'm going to take a few minutes. All right. I want businesses in Roselle Park. I want them to be successful, and I thought that your presentation is excellent, and that the business that you offer is a business that's necessary and wonderful for our town. And so when I was doing my research and thinking and trying to decide what I thought of everything last month, I needed help, and I went to certain places to get help for myself. And I'm going to review with you what I looked at for me to come up with how I feel about how I'm going to vote. I am not going to make you wait for it. I'm going to vote no on this. I want you to know that, but I want to put on the record why, so that you understand why I'm going to do that. And some of it may sound, well, it doesn't matter. It's what I came up with as the board member, trying to do my due diligence and the best that I could do as a board member. We did want an engineer to testify in the parking, or to have a parking scheme, and you have not been able to provide that. But I looked at the letter that we received from our municipal planner, Victor Vinegra, that was dated February 24th, 2014. And used that as my basis for my research. I analyzed 5 categories that he outlined in that letter. 1 was positive criteria, 2 was negative criteria, 3 was how application affects the municipal master plan, 4 was how the application affects the general public, and 5 was how the application affects the surrounding properties. The most important thing I felt that he said in that letter was that it is important to remember that granting a use variance means the variance stays with the land and not with the owner, which means the next tenant would be able to use this site for this purpose. And so with that in mind, I'm going to tell you what I'm referencing. I went to the municipal land use law. I went to the complete guide to New Jersey planning boards and zoning boards of adjustment. I went to the Neighborhood Business District Article 22B1, and I went to the Roselle Park zoning map, and most importantly, I went to the Roselle Park Master Plan Reexamination Report 2009. The municipal land use law, the purpose of the act is to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in this state in a manner in which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Didn't have a problem with that with you. To provide sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses in open space, both public and private, according to their respective environmental requirements in order to meet the needs of all New Jersey citizens. I had a little bit of problem with that because we're talking about sufficient space. Then I went to the complete guide to New Jersey planning boards and zoning boards. And one thing that I thought helped me was there's a sentence that reads, board members should be aware that there is no reason whatsoever to feel compelled to grant a use variance to an applicant. The negative criteria, an applicant must show that there will not be a substantial detriment to the public good, nor will there be a substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance if its request for relief is granted. I had a problem with that, with your application. Then special reasons may be satisfied if an applicant can show that the proposed use is peculiarly suited to the particular piece of property. And that's a big one, because your business, as good as it is not peculiarly suited to that particular piece of property. However, in the last analysis, a variance should be granted in most cases only if the board, on the basis of the evidence, feels that the public interest, as distinguished from the purely private interest of the applicant, would be served best by permitting the proposed use. We are talking about your purely private interest as opposed to the public interest. In these instances, the board must also find that the granting of the variance will not create an undue burden on the owners of the surrounding properties. And we've heard testimony after testimony after testimony that it is creating an undue burden. The courts have looked favorably upon uses that are deemed to be inherently beneficial. I went, oh, okay, maybe this is inherently beneficial. Uses that are inherently beneficial are considered to have satisfied the requirement that the use promotes the general welfare. So I looked into that, and I found that according to the law, that inherently beneficial is universally considered of value to the community, in that by its very nature it fundamentally serves the public good and promotes the general welfare. And you could say, well, maybe that is something that you do, but the examples that they used were not even close to what you have. The examples were hospitals, schools, daycare centers, group homes, wind, solar, and photovoltaic energy facilities, which probably only Victor would know what that is. So then we go to the neighborhood business district. Under the purpose of the neighborhood business district, which is a B1, which is what this zone is. The purpose of the neighborhood business zone is to promote development in neighborhood business districts that complements the uses and scale of the surrounding residential neighborhoods. The B1 district, when you go to the Roselle Park zoning map, is very, very tiny, and I think it's exclusive to the town. I looked around to see if there was another B1, and I couldn't find it. But in any case, all the way around this tiny little B1 zone are residentials. So it's not like there's other business districts or the industrial district or anything. It's very isolated and very small. So I have to take into account the surrounding neighborhoods, and the surrounding neighborhoods are 100% residential. So then the most important thing to me is the Roselle Park Master Plan. I've sat on so many of these master plan examination reports over the years. I should know it by heart, but I didn't. So I went back to look and see what I could find that could be in your favor. And again, I kept coming up with negatives. So in this particular one, the land use residential objective. Number one, preserve and protect the integrity of Roselle Park's residential neighborhoods to maintain them as desirable environments. And having your business in that area is not maintaining those residential areas as desirable environments. Two, circulation. Provide for the safe and efficient movement of persons and goods throughout the borough. The safety issue, we've heard all about that. Neighborhood preservation. This was identified as a major problem in the Roselle Park Master Plan. Roselle Park is primarily residential. However, as in the case in any older developed communities, problems exist at the edges of existing residential neighborhoods where houses abut commercial and or industrial uses. The master plan recognizes that we need to be specifically careful about those particular places. And it says, increased buffer requirements and the use of transitional zones help minimize the impact of conflicting uses and protect the integrity of residential neighborhoods. I kept going back to and looking at that, saying integrity of residential neighborhoods. So in addition, it says the zoning map should be updated to recognize existing non-residential areas to minimize potential support for granting future use variances at the edges of residential neighborhoods. So it's sort of telling me that we have to be very careful about granting any uses at these edges, which this little B1 is. This part is a little difficult for me to say because I do not want to disparage you in any way. I have the utmost respect for you. But I felt like that, this is my personal opinion, I felt like that you started with the town with and unclean hands is probably the wrong term to use, but I couldn't think of another one. I know that in Union, your studio was an aerobics studio, and then here it's now a nutritional wellness center thing. And I know that your landlord helped with the initial application and having you come into the town, and so I can't help but think that you were duped in a way, and so that set up a wrong to begin with. Also saying that your business is not a gym, just because that you have other activities there doesn't mean it's a gym. And I have some examples, like for example, a mom and pop bakery is not as large as a ShopRite or an A&P in-store bakery, but it's a bakery all the same. Saying that you're a complete wellness program actually, in my opinion, works against you because it says that you're a gym and a lot more. The patrons of your business are very positive, and that's to be expected. But I believe that the quality of your work, where you were before, where you are now, where you will be in the future, is going to be high quality, and those patrons would come and say those same things no matter where you are. The residents of Roselle Park are the reason that Roselle Park exists, and their responses to the parking issue as well as the safety issue cannot be ignored. When moving into any new neighborhood, the ideal situation is for the new neighbor to blend seamlessly into the fabric of that neighborhood. The current residents should not be expected to change their normal and long-standing habits to accommodate a new resident. I think I've actually said way more, but that is my opinion on where I stand on this issue. Does anyone else have anything further to say? All right, now we need to explain how this vote is going to work.
Yeah, well, someone should make a motion to either approve or deny the request for a use variance and parking variance.
But unfortunately, if someone makes a...
And, I'm sorry. Yeah. The use variance, because that's the primary release, so it requires a vote of all 5 members up here. And again, if the vote is to deny a use variance, if that's the motion that someone's going to make, then that would receive 5 votes. So it's up to any member to make a motion as to how they want this to go. So if someone wants to make a motion to approve it, you can make that motion, and we can see if that succeeds or fails. And if that doesn't work, there could be a motion to deny the use variance.
Well, let's just get a motion on the board, and then we can discuss how many votes are needed for it to...
Yeah.
And just to go with Madam Chairwoman, I think she did an excellent job of doing some research there. I think she did an excellent job of doing some research on a D variance. What you have before you tonight is a D use variance for the resident to utilize the site for something that is not deemed within our ordinance as a permitted use. Now, obviously, you have to weigh, you have to do the ways, and you were excellent in saying, first you look at the negative criteria if you want, and there's 2 prongs to the negative criteria. Its effect on the master plan and the zoning ordinance. And the second prong is the effect on the general public in the neighborhood. And the master plan and the ordinance, it's a commercial zone, so you're not really introducing something, it's not like they're introducing this into a residential zone. but it is a commercial zone. But the other prong is how it affects the neighborhood. And normally, I've always told applicants, how does it negatively affect the neighborhood? If it does so, you have to come to those conclusions, and they have to give evidence that it does not negatively affect the neighborhood. And the one thing, that even though we use the ordinance requirements of the zone as 1 per 200, fitness studios tend to generally generate much more traffic than other industrial users or other commercial users. So that's the problem with fitness studios is their own success. In Garwood, we're one of the towns, as I said, we have a number of them. They've brought a lot of people into town, and they have created some parking issues, but they've also introduced new people into town. But we looked at those neighborhoods where they did affect the parking, and we affected the residential neighborhood. So that's something this board has to weigh prior. So you have to feel that their testimony is adequate to, that they're not negatively affecting the neighborhood. They can mitigate their negative effects on the neighborhood. That doesn't affect your zone plan. That they give you special reasons, with the Medici test, they call it. The special reasons would be that this is a particularly well-suited site for this type of use. So, it's a tough variance to get. It's a 2/3 vote by this board, it has to be 2/3 of the members. And something that you have to feel that they supply with proofs, what we call the proofs of the zone.
And the use variance stays with the property.
Yeah, so exactly, that's the problem with use variances. It stays with the land for perpetuity. So even if another user comes and say, this user moves out, becomes a store, or something else, another business. And then, but that use is always slapped on the land, so it can become a gym, it can become a neighborhood gym. And that's the problem with the use variance. You're saying that this site is particularly suited to have this type of use.
Also, yeah, just to no, sorry, you have something to say? Just to clarify, all 5 votes are needed tonight. With the use variance, generally you need 2/3 of 7, which is generally more or less 5. Yeah, but when there's only 5 here, you need all 5, just to clarify that.
So may I have a motion, please, some way?
I move that the use variance be denied.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor, or no, I guess we have to call the roll.
Mr. Nucci?
Agree that it be denied.
Yeah, a yes vote would be to deny.
Mrs. Kurz?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Rabina?
Yes.
Mr. Bamonte?
No.
Okay. So that,
The motion carries the motion to deny the use variance, and subsumed within that to deny the parking variance is granted. The motion to deny has been approved by the board. The motion to deny the use variance, 4 to 1 vote.
Thank you for your time.
thank you. I wish you the best of luck. We'll finish the business of the meeting as soon as I find the All right, we have, under new business, we have none. Under new applications, we have none. Under pending resolutions, we have none. Under payment of bills, we have none. For the benefit of the board, is there anything anyone would like to say before I leave the very last thing? All right, our next meeting is Monday, May 19th, 2014. If there is no other business, then we are adjourned. Thank you. It is 8:45.